We'll build this together, any type of weather. Unity is key. Keeping first G-O-D. We will conquer the world. Baby, just you and me. I can vision us now. One big happy family.
Hi, I'm Latoya Walker,
I'm Lonnie Walker.
and welcome to Way of the Walkers. So, this episode is called The Six-Letter Word. Can anyone guess what the six-letter word is when it pertains to marriage? Now, a six-letter word, usually when someone says it's a four-letter word, we know what they're talking about, right? Right?
Lovers is 6.
Lovers? No, it's not lovers.
Um, 6-letter words. Lonnie,
No.
Toya. Those are 6-letter words.
That's true. No, we are not talking about those words. We're talking about a word that is a heavy word. That when it's in the context of marriage, it's usually not positive. Why don't you say what it is, or do you want me
Haters.
to? Haters.
So the word that we're going to talk about today is submit.
Submit. So, what do you think of? How do you feel? What do you hear when it comes to the context of marriage? Because if someone says submit your form to your employee so you get paid, we good with that.
We good at submitting a lot. But if you have a W-2 job and you work for somebody, you're submitting to your leadership and the upper leadership. You are doing whatever they say goes. So if they decide to change the rules, to change the way that you're being paid, you're submitting to it if you stay. You're
Right.
not submitting. If you're not submitting, then you're going to quit the job and go find another job. So we submit in a lot of ways all the time to men, women, children. The
Right.
child is crying. The baby, you're going to pick that baby up. You're going to submit to get that bottle to them so the crying will stop. So we submit more than we think. But for some reason, when it comes to submitting
In the
in
context of
marriage,
marriage, it's a very sticky
yeah,
subject, and it's not a question why. It's not like, and because we don't understand why that's such a complicated issue. We do understand why.
right.
Why it's different. It's way different than the examples that you gave, because the world has turned what God has placed in space for us to live our lives the best way, which I feel like the Bible is a book to teach you how to live your life the best way. It's not like our mentor says, it's not a history book where everybody's like, well, how come dinosaurs aren't in here? It's like, I ain't worried about dinosaurs. I'm worried about the best way I can live my life. And I feel like going to the Bible is going to teach me the best way I can live my life. God has created the covenant of marriage. And within that covenant, he says that if I am to submit to you, then it's going to make our marriage stronger. And so, but what do you think of when you hear the word submit?
You talking about now or you
Just
talking
then,
about before?
before.
So we know that submit is negative. Most of the time when people think about submitting to someone else, it's negative. So one of the things I think about is for men, when they're like, you're supposed to submit to me, that means do whatever I say. That means you're not gonna hold me accountable because you're submitting to me. I'm not submitting to you. So that means I can do whatever. It's almost like when your mama used to tell you, do what I say, not what I do. It always had that essentially that so if I tell you to clean and you need to do this and you need to do that better, you need to do it. No questions asked. I'm not trying to hear any rebuttal. This isn't a negotiation. You are I'm your ruler and you're submitting to my rulership.
Right.
So what do you think of when you think of submit?
Well, when in the past, for sure, when I thought about submission and submitting in a context of marriage, it was nothing good. And it had a lot to do with what I saw growing up and how when you were a submissive wife, and I'm particularly speaking of what I saw with my grandparents, then he can just do whatever he wants. And you can't say nothing, you can't do nothing, and it's almost like you're in servitude. So these are the words that I came up with. They're not positive, but I feel because of the way the world has, I feel like it's really tainted the, I think it's a blessing to submit. It's people, women are, this is what I'll just say this. So I feel, I hear the word subjugation, oppression, domination, degradation, and brutality. But I also feel fear, because fear would rise up inside of me. Then I would feel vulnerable, which would make me angry. Because when you are vulnerable, it's someone can take advantage of you. And that would make me angry, because it's like I don't have the strength to defend myself or protect myself. And because of the way that a lot of women still to this day in this world are treated in marriage, these words are true. They're subjugated, they're oppressed, they're dominated, they're degraded, they're brutalized. And so, but that's not what God was speaking of when it comes to submit. It's not what man, and I'm just not man, but man in general, human. What we do is a lot of times we'll take something and mess it up. And this is one of the things that I feel like that we've messed up. We've messed up how submission in marriage can be a blessing, because it doesn't just say that I'm supposed to submit to you. We're supposed to submit to one to the other, and we are supposed to submit to God. And if we're doing that, then we're making sure both of our needs are taken care of, and that no one is in a hierarchy over, because you're taking your cues from God, which then your cues from God is to love me. And then I am going to submit to the way that I'm supposed to love you, and in the role that you're in as a husband.
When I heard you say the words that you said,
Yeah,
and this is funny because I didn't have this before, it sounded like when we were slaves and we submitted to the master.
absolutely. That's absolutely. And a lot of women are in marriages across this world where when you go into that marriage, that is what you're going to do. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be in servitude to your husband.
Yeah, so when you said that, that popped in my mind. I was like, so let's get into the definition
Okay.
of submit. It means to yield oneself to the power or the authority of another, to submit, to defer to one another's to defer to another's judgment, opinion, decision. I will submit to your superior judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that essentially you're at the mercy of the other person.
Right.
That's what submit means.
Right. And then I feel like that even hearing that as a woman, knowing that you have to relinquish um your emotions, your flesh, to submitting to somebody and them having the superior. It's kind of like, what? Do they have the superior? Oh, no. So that's even kind of like a little abrasive to hear. But the way that I think about submission in marriage is different. So I'll tell you what I feel like God is asking us to do as wives. And the thing I want to make very, very clear, the Bible does not say to submit to man. It says, wives, submit to your husbands. So, women, do not have to submit to men because they're men. It says, wife, submit to your husband. And you're not supposed to submit, like, you're not supposed to submit to all these men out here. And even in dating, it doesn't say, girlfriends, submit to your boyfriends. It's inside the covenant of marriage. That's when you are to submit. So, what I have for submit is to have a general disposition or posture to receive and affirm a husband's leadership. So, when I hear that, it's like I have the general disposition or posture. And when I think of that, I think of a heart posture of humility to submit to what your leadership is and to affirm you in your leadership. So I'm making it easier for you to have this mantle of leadership because that's a heavy mantle to carry, right?
Yeah, it is. Well, the Bible says that us men as the head, we're responsible.
Absolutely.
We're responsible for whatever happened, even if we didn't do it. The best way it we're accountable. He's
Right.
gonna hold me accountable for you and our children. He's not holding you accountable. He's
Right.
holding me.
Right.
So, but we have to lead in a certain manner. We have to lead in an appropriate way. Um, we are it's a lot of things that you see that I don't see in
Yeah.
situations. So if you just let me do whatever without me having a conversation with you, like, hey, I'm thinking about this, and you give me your insight, you done saved us a whole bunch of situations that we could have been in that we weren't, because I came to you like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and this, and you're like, yeah, that person, no, you don't need to do no business with them.
Okay. Discernment.
And I'm like, well, what, we can make, and you like,
Nope.
no, don't do that. And you saved heartache in that situation. And the key is when you have to lead in the proper manner, you have to be able to voice to me your concerns, or not your concerns, maybe some ideas. The reason that we are entrepreneurs is because of you, not because of me.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, I would have just kept working my W-2 job and I would have been fine. And then you were like, hey, why don't you think about doing this, doing that, which caused other things to happen,
Right.
which helped us tremendously. And that's what this relationship, it was your idea, but essentially I submitted to your idea to try this.
Right.
It wasn't my idea. I
Right.
could have been like, no, this W job is paying well, it's paying great. I'm gonna just keep doing this because this is what I know. I don't have time for that. But you essentially came to me like, hey, why don't you do this? And then I think at first I was pushing back. I was like, no, we good. And you're like, just try it.
Yeah.
And that birthed some things.
Yes. So, the thing that I wanted to say about submission is we as women shouldn't sit back and see that our husband is struggling in a situation, because God gave us certain gifts as wives and ideas. Just as people in general, some things I have strengthened and some things he has strengthened. So the things that I have strengths in, I don't want to sit back and be quiet and don't say anything and be a submissive wife and watch him struggle in the things that I can help solve, because I am supposed to be his helpmate. So when it comes to being submissive or submitting, a lot of people think it's, oh, you have to sit in a corner, only be spoken when spoken to. But it's no, we are in this marriage together and we're supposed to go after this mission that we have, that God has placed in our lives. And it takes both of us to do that. And I love what you said, that you still come to me because you know I have wisdom in certain areas, and you'll ask me, hey, babe. And even when it's not even anything that I'm like, I don't need to sign off on or whatever, but you'll come to me just to respect me as your partner and say, baby, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think? Or I'm going to go do this, just to let me know, right?
Absolutely. It's interesting. I thought about, and we watched this yesterday. We watched The Amazing Race,
Oh, yeah.
and we're watching it, and we were talking about different things. And one of the things I think we were talking, and I was like, if we were in this situation, I would be driving. And you were like, no,
No.
I would be driving because you know how to read a map. And I
Right.
was like, you know what? You're right. I should let you drive. I was like, you're an excellent driver. And then I know how to navigate. It's about when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be driving because I'm a man. I want to drive you."
Right.
And you were like, no, because
No,
that
because we
reading that
will be
map,
lost
no." He's like,
forever.
"You get the map, let me drive."
Right.
And that's the thing. It's not, we're gonna just do it this way and we're gonna push through it. It's using intelligence and saying, "Hey, this is not an area that I'm strong in. I need to submit to you in this situation because your leadership is going to be better and it's going to give us a better outcome
Right.
than me leading in something that, one, I don't know how to lead in necessarily, or two, you're better. Why would I do something if you can make 100? Why would I do it and I'm gonna make 80 just because
Because you're
I'm a
the dude.
man?
Right.
No,
No.
no, we want the 100.
Right. So I know you say something about coming under the vision. What is that?
So submit, when it's talking about submit, is you're submitting under the leadership of the mission that we have for our family.
Right.
So you're not just submitting to me, I'm coming home and cook my food and rub my feet. It's you're submitting to the direction our family is going in.
Right.
We know that we have purpose on our lives and certain things that we want to do. So you're submitting to that mission, and I should be doing things that is pursuing that.
Right.
If we're out of pursuing our purpose, then there need to be a conversation like, well, wait a minute, while we're doing that, we're supposed to be doing this.
Right.
And we know what we're called to.
Right. And that's also a good thing to know what you're called to, so you know what the vision is, so you can submit to what the mission is, right? But so when I got married to you, I understood that I was coming into the covenant with you and swearing to God about how we're going to live our lives as a married couple. That's how I felt. And in doing that, I signed up to submit. It's not, well, I'm only going to submit if XYZ. Of course, if there's abuse and things like that, you're not going to, someone trying to go rob a bank, you're not going to say, let's go, I'm going to submit to that. No, you're not breaking the law. And you're not being abused. But I understood that as your wife, my goal and my responsibility is to submit to you. As much as when we were dating, people in my family would be like, girl, you need to make sure you have your side money and make sure you don't trust everything and have your own, and basically this ain't gonna last, and keep myself set up for when the inevitable end was going to come, and basically not submit to our relationship and the vision of our relationship. And I'm not going to say it was always easy because of the history that I spoke about. And I did have to kill my flesh a lot. I did have to say, okay, Lord, I'm going to look past him and look at you, because that is ultimately who I'm submitting to. Because you told me as a wife that I need to be submissive to my husband. So I'm going to follow what you say and trust in you. And as I trust in you, I'm going to trust in him. And so that's what's helped me to be a submissive wife, because I told you the things that I thought of when I heard the word submit.
So I wanna ask you something.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna make a statement first, and
Okay.
then I'm gonna ask you
Okay.
something. So when we got married,
Mm-hmm.
my expectation wasn't for you to submit to me.
Mm.
So my question to you, do you feel like I was trying to make you submit to me when we got married?
Were you trying to make me
What
submit?
do you feel like I made that an expectation?
I don't. I'm meaning that you would walk around and be like, "You gonna do what I say?"
No, just as we were dating and then we got married,
Mm-hmm.
did you feel like I was pushing on you that you supposed to submit to me?
No, you did not have that energy. No.
So this is what's interesting because when you were talking, I thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want you to submit to me. I was just happy to be with you. No, I'm not fronting. I was like, gotta, fine, look good, gotta, and whatever came with that. But I feel like once we got married, you pushed me to like, yo, I'm submitting to you, which means you need to lead well.
Oh, absolutely.
So I wasn't with the expectation, but it was kind of like, all right, you got the reign. You need to do something with this. I definitely felt that. I didn't feel like I was like, oh, we married you, so you submit. That's what I want.
Yeah.
No, but as we were married, you made me sure, like you the head. I'm submitting to you, but you need to be leading us
That is
in
so
a
true.
right
That is
area.
right, babe.
So that expectation I didn't put on you, but you were kind of like, you the husband, you the lead. I'm submitting to
I
you, so
remember
you need to
saying those
lead as
things. Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But I wasn't. But that's because remember when we first got married, my expectations, I just wanted to be married to you. So
Right.
I didn't have any. And you were kind of like, no, I need you to, congratulations. We married. We together. But now I need you to lead us and I need you to lead us well.
Right, right. That is true.
Which is it's pressure.
It is. It is.
It is pressure
Mm-hmm.
because you can, as a man, if a woman is like, "Oh, is what you want?" Okay, and then you're ruling like a pharaoh,
Hmm.
and you can, well, look, you said you submit, you gonna submit to me. I said this what I want, this what I do, but I understand that. First of all, you being that vulnerable to give me that because you don't take submission. Submission is given, and for you to trust me with that I need to cultivate that in a certain way, in a non-abusive way. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity because essentially that's what it was, an opportunity
Mm.
to lead you and for you to submit to my leadership. And I know I didn't do everything perfect and every decision wasn't great, but I just appreciate that you gave me the opportunity to lead our family and submit to me.
Yeah.
Because it was something that I didn't know I wanted, but it was something that we needed for our marriage. And when I received it, I treasured that because
Mm.
I didn't want you to feel like I can't submit to that. Because what that looked like, it could build in resentment, bitterness,
Yeah.
and then it's fractures. Because now when I say something, you like, it's just way different. That you basically like, look, I'm giving you this. You need to care for this well. And so then I'm taking it and I'm trying to take your submission, which I had people in my sphere of influence at that time that would say stuff like, you got to keep your wife in check.
Mm. Yeah.
You
You
know, you
did.
gotta
Yes, you
check
did.
her. You like I had one guy, he tell me straight up, he's like, you gotta put your hands on them to make sure they stay in line. And I'm like,
Wow.
that's not what I want out of a marriage. I don't want to have to put my hands on somebody. First of all, if they don't want to do it because they love and care for me, like we need to be doing something else. But those are the people that were around me. So for you to give me that and you knew the people who was around and trust
Yes.
that I
Yes.
wouldn't go to that, man, it must have been the Holy Spirit, God, that made you be like, look, it's okay to trust him with this. Because we both went in our marriage with not a lot of good marriages around
Oh
us
no.
where that kind of power can be very abusive.
It could be. And a lot of it validates the things that I was saying about what I thought of when we talk about submission when it can in the context of marriage of being brutalized, being oppressed, you know, being ruled over. Your dreams are not your dreams anymore. Have to give those things up. Um, and that is validating because you were even around men who were still like in the 20th century saying, hey, no, you need to handle her in a certain way. So you get your way and she could stay in line.
They were in
But
1900s.
right.
Yeah.
But those even it's just it makes me mad. It makes me so angry. But I really, when we came into this marriage, I had an understanding that I wanted to live the way that God wanted us to live in this marriage. Like I said, I feel like the Bible tells you the best way you can live. And in the Bible, it says I am to submit to my husband. So I was like, look, I want to submit to you. You are the head of this household. You are the leader of this household. I want to give you that position, and I want to support you in this position. And as much as I did trust you, like I said, I looked past you and I was like, Lord, you got me right, because I'm relinquishing this, and I'm trusting that you, Lord, you said that it was going to work out for me if I do this. So that's what I'm going to do. And I appreciate that you were like, man, she is giving this to me freely. It's not anything that I have to be like, girl, didn't I say, well, whatever. She is giving this to me freely, and I'm gonna honor this. And I love that, baby.
I don't think you understand how big that was, because you knew you were giving it to someone who's never led in that kind of way,
Right.
someone who has been in situations where all of it was manipulation. I'd had no point of reference.
Yeah.
And so I'm in this marriage and I'm trying to figure out, and then I'm like, oh, so I have to figure out how to lead, and I have to figure out how to lead well. And I have to make her feel like she can trust my decisions, even if she don't necessarily agree with them. It it was it was something that I know now that I was built for. But when we got married, I was still trying to figure out who I
Oh,
was.
absolutely. And
So
we definitely had a lot of issues, communication issues, and a lot of stuff that we had to work through. But yet and still, I was like, no, but Lord, you said if I do this, it's gonna work out. So it wasn't easy. It was something that it was a discipline. It was a discipline. And when you are working out and you you first start working out, you get in there and the next day you're sore, and but then the next day you go in, you work out, you build those muscles. You're still a little sore, but you can see the muscles coming out after a month. You're like, okay, I don't get as sore. I can run a little farther without being so winded. I'm getting some muscles. That's what it was for any kind of, I feel like, a spiritual thing. It's like you gotta keep showing up. You gotta keep putting the work in. And when you're trying to kill your flesh, it's like, oh, that hurts. And you want to lash out, or you want to say no, or you want to have a pity party or whatever. But like you said, you're built for this. That's what is on my wall in my prayer closet. On my prayer closet, it says one of the things, because I have a lot of things up there. It says, Latoya, don't feel sorry for yourself. You were built for this. So anytime that it's a trying thing that's going on, I reference that because God puts stuff in me that I can overcome certain obstacles that are placed in front of me. And one of the obstacles was submitting my flesh to be submissive to you.
So, men,
Uh-oh.
if your wife is submitting to you, it's not a trophy, it's a weight.
That's good, baby.
You didn't win. You didn't win. When they submit to you, it's a responsibility attached to that.
Absolutely.
A very great responsibility, trust, and you have to manage that properly, because that trust can be lost, and then it can be problematic. It could just be problematic. I would say this: if she gives you that, you need to handle that well.
Right.
And you need to treasure that and protect that. And that may mean you having some awkward conversations or some difficult conversations, but it needs to be treasured. It's like one of the most important things if that's given. And that's all I got to say
I
on that.
appreciate that, baby. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about a couple situations. Let's talk about the LJ situation
Okay.
where it was basically we didn't agree on how something should have been handled.
That's right. That's right. So, we have 3 kids, and we've spoken before on the podcast that they have autism. And our youngest son had a lot of emotional and behavioral obstacles that he was dealing with when he was starting school. So he was in kindergarten, and in the school that he was in, they did not have a program that was going to serve him well. Lonnie was on the road 9 months out of the year. So essentially, the responsibility of caring for our children with special needs fell on my shoulders. And I was in the trenches, let me tell you. And
So wait, I want to make sure they understand.
okay.
So LJ at this time is 5, Layla's 7,
Mm-hmm.
Lillian's 9. So that's I think fifth, fourth, third, kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 3 kids with autism. And you're managing all of their meetings and all of their triggers and all of their school issues that's going on all
And
at once.
homeworks and food and
They're all at the same
yes.
school at this time.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with 3 children with this. And then we have LJ, our youngest. Now go.
So he was just absolutely miserable. He was miserable. They were calling me every day. They're either texting me, emailing me, or calling me about an instant at a behavioral issue or a problem at the school, which would have me rushing up to the school, just terrified because I just knew my son was suffering. He was really suffering. Um, as I said, they didn't have the program implemented, and we actually took him out of school because he couldn't cope. We
So
took him out of school.
the incident that took him out of school, he was in class and he has triggers, laughter, clapping, and the teacher that he had, she was pregnant. He got triggered. He ran out of the class, out of the school, almost out into the street.
Right. And they couldn't catch him
They couldn't
because, well,
catch
she
him.
couldn't
She
catch
couldn't
him.
catch him
She
because she
was,
was pregnant.
and they called me. They're like, he ran out of the school and we can't get him. And I'm thinking, and it was right around one of the most tragic incidences in our country. I was at the grocery store. I looked up, and like in the bank area, they'll have TVs, and it was showing the report of what had happened at Sandy Hook. And it was that exact same day. So I got home. I was already frazzled. I was frazzled throughout that season anyway because of everything that was going on at our house. So then that happened, and I'm just like, my heart is just in my throat thinking about the terrible thing that happened. And then here goes the phone, and it rang. And every time my phone rang, my heart would just crumble because I just knew it was the school calling about something that was going on with our son. And so the phone rang, I looked, it was a school, and I'm panicked on 10,000 because I'm watching the TV footage of what's going on. And then here we go again with Lonnie Daniel. And they told me what happened. And I'm like, okay, I did not put the groceries up. I just went to the school and I sat at that school for the rest of the day in his classroom to assure that he was not in danger. Because I'm like, what do you mean he ran out of school? Y'all can't catch him. This school is right next to a street. Oh my gosh. So I was up at that school for the rest of the day. So instances like that continue to happen, and I was at my wits end. I was fragile. It's like if you scratch the surface, you didn't have to scratch the surface for me to be like a basket case because I was just trying to hold everything together. And we called an emergency meeting so we could try to figure out what we can do for our son. And they offered the opportunity for him to go to another school. Now, mind you, I had to go up to the school. Neighborhood school was just like 2 minutes away every day because it was a situation going on. The school that they said that he was going to be going to was like 25 minutes away. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
So he had already been out of school after the running out. He had been out of school for 2 weeks. So I went and got him. And then the lady was like, I'm going to call you back. 1 week go by, hear nothing. So I finally called her and was like, well, look, I'm going to call y'all bosses. Y'all need to figure out something. And so the plan was to try to get him to go to this other school.
Right.
And I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
At
This
all.
other school was taking him away from his sisters because they were all at the same campus together. It was farther away. It was in an area where they would send a lot of the kids that had behavioral issues to this school. And I won't tell you what they called the school, but it was different than the area that we were in. And I was nervous about him being there. But when I sat down in that meeting and they told me what the program offered that was only available at that campus, I immediately started to cry because it had been everything that I prayed for. It was everything that I prayed for. And I knew that this was going to help our son. I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord, this is it. Thank you so much. We have to take him back and forth. Well, I would have to take him back and forth. But at least it was going to be some relief for him and for us. But Dad was like,
I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it at all. I knew him being in that school, what he was going to get exposed to because I went to school over there.
Yeah.
I know the people over there. Where we live, we know what's over there. I grew up over there, so I know what's over there. So I know the other K-5 kids. They're being exposed to adult things. I'm not going to mention anything in particular, but basically him being in that environment, he was going to be exposed to things that I really didn't want him to be exposed to. And I didn't understand why they couldn't just implement what they were going to do there at the school that they were
right.
at. So I wasn't feeling it at all. And then let's just talk about more. So now she's got to go rush over at one elementary school, pick him up, 25-minute drive. So that means the girls are sitting out longer waiting for her to come pick them up there and then bring them home.
And
Because
get up super early.
Because I'm gone.
Right. Get up super early to drop. It depends. It was like, okay, when they went to junior high, it was different because I was still taking them out there.
But elementary.
So it was like, I had to figure out, take them, get up super early, put some food in the bag, like, because we're going to have to get over here to make sure he gets there on time, and then rush back to make sure you get on time, or flip it, depending on what was going on. Get up early to get them there on time, and then rush over there to get, and then doing the same thing on the way home. It was like a mad dash to get home because school traffic, and you got to pick the kids up, and you don't want the kids sitting there after everybody else is picked up. And because our girls still needed my love and attention and extra help because of their autism issues.
They have their own.
Yes, I was
thing.
like, oh my gosh. But it was a lot. And he didn't want that. He didn't want that burden, that extra burden put on me.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want him to be in that environment. But I knew that this was the help that I had been praying for. I knew this was the help.
We had just got all of them at the same school. You one pick up, one drop off, all of that, because he went to early education. So he was at the other school.
Yeah, they all did.
So he was at another school, but that school was pretty close to that school, so it wasn't an issue. But this was going to be trying. And don't think about like you driving over there. Yeah. I don't want you over there.
Right.
Like we talking about him. I don't want you having to deal with that, because just like I told you, you're dealing with students, you're also dealing with their parents over
Yeah,
there too. So it's a
definitely had instances,
but
but what happened?
so we went back and forth, and then I submitted to what she wanted. She thought that that was what was going to be best for him. And at that point, I still didn't agree, but I was like, well, we can try it and see how it'll work. Um, and we did, and he did fine over there.
Yeah,
He did get exposed, but he LJ, so he's an amazing light.
he
So
is.
he persevered through all of that.
Absolutely. And the reason why I feel like you relinquished that is because you weren't there like I was. You really didn't know the ins and outs of what was going on. And so I think that helped you say, okay, she's been dealing with this day in and day out, where you were in and out of town. So
I don't even think I didn't want I didn't want him over there.
yeah,
It's kind of like I wouldn't want our children to go to school in Detroit where I went to school. Period.
right,
I don't want that at all. It was more that, and then also like I said, you being over there is exposing you. Not that you haven't been through stuff, but you're dealing with other people like that. I didn't want that for him. I didn't want that for you. And it was more that, but we had to look at the bigger picture.
right.
What's the options? Him running out of school for the next 4 years, 5 years, or going over there so he can get the life skills that he need
That's right.
and he learn how to manage it.
Yes, that's
And
right.
so I was just kind of like, they should just have it at that school, but okay.
Yeah, that wasn't an option.
No.
So we had to pick the lesser of two evils, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I did okay. I ain't
No, you weren't pouty. I know you never liked all
no
the years
no.
of.
What I'm saying is, I went to school over there, so it
Oh,
wasn't like I survived.
yeah, you
But
survived.
I was from Detroit, so
He
that was
learned some
different.
life skills that
Oh
he
no,
wouldn't have learned
he got it.
in the cushiness.
Yeah, he wouldn't
Exactly.
have.
And I'm like, God must have known he needed to learn those life skills. So that's one example. What was the other example that you wanted to have?
We talked about stay at home or work.
Oh yes. Listen, y'all. I did not want to stay at home. I was very interested in pursuing social sciences, and I was in college pursuing that. It took longer for me to go to college because I was working and I had to pay for my school. So it took time to get through that process. But when we got married, I was like, I'm going to continue going to college. I mean, I'm going to work, I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to have this career in social sciences.
Well, you had already finished the
And the
first
associates,
part, so
yes, I did
you
that
was
part. I
going to
need
the
to
other
go
part.
get
Yeah.
bachelor's and all that. So when we got married, in fact, I was already working, and when we got married, he was like, you don't have to go back to work, because I was working, and then I started planning the wedding. And I think he's always wanted me just to be at the house, because I started planning the wedding, and then you're like, babe, you're planning the wedding, it's taking a lot of effort, why don't you just plan the wedding, and then then you go back to work after that. And I was like,
It was a couple things. So it wasn't that simple. It was also, I know what you were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew it was more for you than what you were doing
Oh
at that
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And so I was just like, man, kick
Forget
that
them
job to
people.
the
Yes.
curb, plan this wedding, get married, go find you another job that's gonna pay you what you worth. I don't
Yeah.
think I was on the stay at home thing. I was just
Okay.
on that job, cut it out. Like that chick,
But that was just for because I was going to be going to college. You know, you can't have like this amazing job yet.
I know, but
So
I had an amazing job. So I was
yeah,
like,
but
girl,
you already, yeah. So he was like, "Listen, I got you. Don't
right.
work. We good." So I did. So I quit. I planned the wedding, and then we got married, and I was at the house
She,
chilling. He
she
was on the
came she
road.
came back and then they called her like, yo, we
You
got a
want
new
to come
position
back?
for you.
Right.
You wanna
And
come back?
listen, but I was at that house for probably maybe 3 weeks or so, and I'm not used to that. I'm a worker. I'm what we doing? Where
You
we
should have just
going?
came
We
with
just
me.
got this new house. He just bought me a car. I need to put in on this. That was my mentality. I was not out the way, not that I was raised, but I always felt like I was responsible to help. So
The women in your family work. Period.
that is
I can't think
true.
of nobody that
Listen,
didn't do
we
your mama
work
work, grandma work.
and
They was some
working.
working folk.
Right.
All
So
your aunties, they work. They had children, they worked. So that
right.
was the motto. Like your mom
And I
worked at
had a
Southwestern
dream
Bell
to
forever.
forever.
Yeah.
And I had the dream of working in social sciences. So when we decided we were gonna have kids,
When you
when
decided.
I decided gonna have kids, no. When we decided we're gonna have kids, he was like, "Well, babe, I want you to." What'd you say?
I said, if you don't want to go back to work after you had a baby, you don't have to.
Right.
And I left it. I dropped mic drop.
Yeah,
I
he was
walk.
like, "Walk away, walk away."
I'm just saying, if
I'm
you
just
don't want to go
saying.
back to
I'm just
work after
saying.
we had a baby, you don't have to.
Right.
It's totally up to you.
Right. But I understood that he would have preferred me to be home, take care of the kids. And I actually I wanted to take care of our kids too. I didn't want them to be in daycare centers and all that stuff. So
Did that have something to do with you worked at a daycare?
I did work at a daycare. That does have something to do with that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to stay home and take care of these kids. As much as I felt like, I need to go help. I need to go get some money too. But I did. I submitted to that, stayed home, take care of the kids. And I'm so thankful that we came to that conclusion because of the things that our kids were going to deal with.
You were gonna end up not working on
Anyway,
the. And then I mean, we did the math on daycare and all of that stuff. So you were working, you were saving us thousands and thousands and thousands of
yeah.
dollars by being a stay-at-home mom and taking care of the children. And then when we found out that they were on the spectrum, I mean, it really helped. I mean, I couldn't even imagine all the things that you did trying to do that and working.
Oh, yeah.
Like LJ running out to school, they would let you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to kept a job.
No,
Probably not.
no, not at all.
So I'm thankful that that was something that you offered and I accepted. And and even though I wanted to go and pursue dreams that I had, I did submit to that, and I'm so thankful. Actually, I'm very thankful I did. And
And you had your people around you,
oh yeah,
like,
like
girl,
girl, you need to go get some money. You
what you
need to
gonna
go.
do?
Exactly.
What you do if he fall down on the job or he don't live up to what he said he was gonna do?
Mhm.
I think I always told you I would always take care of you. So, but they're speaking from not only their experiences, but the experiences around them and the situations around them.
Right.
So they weren't just hating on me. I mean, some of them were speaking from their own experience where they stayed at home and then the dude deuced out the roof and then they had nothing.
Right.
So you had all of those. So you had to trust
Yes.
that I was gonna do
I
what I
had to
was gonna
trust. I
do.
had to trust. Had to be like, okay, Lord, looking over your shoulder, like, Lord, you got me. You got me, Lord. Okay, I'm gonna trust this man. But and what men are called to do as husbands is to cover their wives, and if they have children, cover their children, their family, and that's a heavy responsibility. I've always wanted to um basically be in a position where I could affirm your leadership and support you in that leadership, because it's a heavy weight to carry, like you said. And if you do it right, I have it written down what it looks like if you do this right as the head of the household. It says Lonnie is to leverage the power and influence he was given as a man to make sure that I thrive and that his children thrive. And I think a lot of husbands don't realize that the reason that they're in the position that they're in is to make sure that their wife thrives and that their children thrive, right? It's not about, well, they submitted to me so I can be the king,
You said that.
whatever, right?
So what they don't understand is if they are not handling the submission correctly, that they're not going to thrive.
Exactly, because it
The
says in the
wife's not going to
Bible, what does it
thrive.
say? That God is not going to hear your prayers.
Their children not going to thrive, and they don't understand. I think I said earlier, we don't understand that it starts with us,
Absolutely.
and then it trickles down from there. So you need to be in order so everything can be in order. One of the things that I tell some young people and old people is you have to lead in love. So
Absolutely.
as the head, you're not like you're ruling like a pharaoh or a king back in the days. Well, he's like, off with your head. You're leading in love, and with that becomes a lot of grace um, that you have to give and you have to receive,
Yes.
because you're not going to make all the decisions. I have men tell me all the time, they're like, man, why is it always my fault? Because it is. If you think about most situations that happen in a marriage, it's something that the man did that starts the breakdown, and it leads to the misunderstanding, the lack of communication. Um, Adam and Eve. Eve get a bad rap because it's like she went tasted the apple, but remember when she bit, didn't nothing happen.
And then what does it say? That Adam was there with her.
He was there with her, but I'm not even focused on that he was there.
Right.
My focus is she bit it,
And
nothing happened. She made the mistake. Nobody naked, nobody hiding, nothing. Grace. He bit, we naked. We hiding, we putting some twigs together.
And God comes in and says,
Adam, where are you?
Not Eve, where he said, Adam, where are you? Because you are
Adam
the head.
is accountable.
You are going to be held accountable for this.
And one of the things is when he told him about the tree, he wasn't there. He told him about the tree.
That's right, because he's supposed to cover her. And that's why I mentioned that he was right with her, because he didn't cover her. He didn't say, girl, and just let that, whatever fruit, because we don't know it's an apple. But whatever fruit out of her hand.
My thing about it, and I always focus on that, she bit. And there were no consequences.
Right.
He bit, that's when the consequences. That's why it's like it is. We're responsible. And they'll say, well, man, you're responsible.
Right.
Because what you have to do is get to the bitter root of what is causing what's happening to happen. And typically, if you search within yourself, you'll find out, okay, I did this. And it may be not that you did this today, but you did this 2 weeks ago. And now this is showing up 2 weeks later, and she's behaving, or she did this because you did that.
Yeah.
The whole thing that you just said about, girl, you got to have your side money just in case. All of that is because their history is, girl, he gonna leave you with nothing. He gonna leave you with these kids.
Absolutely.
You ain't gonna have no job, girl. You ain't gonna have no insurance. He ain't gonna be there. All of those things, it's all tied to that.
Absolutely.
So when they tell you that, I'm not mad at them. They're just speaking to the experience they know, they mama, they auntie, whatever. That just tells you how much that you trust the Lord to trust me.
Yes.
And so again, like I said, you just want to make sure that you're leading in love. And with that, it's a real big responsibility, and it's not abusive and it's not controlling. It is we're having a conversation and we're reaching a compromise on things.
Right. And the thing that, like you said, I look towards God to trust you. Thing that I have written down is what I believe in and what I lean on is God will be worshipped by the way I treat my husband. And so my hope is that my example is going to bring him glory, even if it's can be a difficult task for me to do. And ultimately, that is our job, is to worship him and to bring him glory.
And we didn't even get into what we are exempling for our 2 daughters and our son.
Yes,
Because this is all they know.
that's
This is what
right.
they see every day. And so we're exempling what our marriage looked like and what marriage should look like to them under covenant. And this is what they know that they should look for and forward to, because they don't know
Yeah,
anything.
and we've been praying for who will be, because you got to be wise about who you marry too.
Well, he gonna meet
So,
me, so
oof, yes,
yeah.
he want me too.
Oh, she gonna meet you too, so there
Oh,
don't be like no
yeah,
oof
that's
with
gonna
me.
be, yeah, that's gonna
We're gonna get Uncle
be,
Josh. We're gonna
get
get
everybody
Uncle
over there.
Martin.
Okay, so I think
Scared
this is a
straight.
good discussion, babe. I think that we navigated the waters of submission well, because this can be a sticky subject.
We'll find out from the comments.
We'll find out from the comments. Well, guys, if you found what we did here on Where the Walker's Worthwhile, we hope that you share it with someone that you find worthwhile. And we want you to like this and put your notifications on and subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social medias.
We'll see y'all next
And
week.
we'll see you next time. Bye.
We'll build this together. Any type of weather. Unity is key. Keeping first G-O-D. We will conquer the world. Baby, just you and me. I can vision us now. One big happy family.